Hi, this is Kwavi. Welcome to another episode of 50 Shades of Over 50. I'm so excited about my next guest. Her name is Jen Reinmuth Birch, and welcome. Yay!
Hi. Yay. It's so great to be here. Thank you for asking me.
Oh, you're welcome. And thank you for accepting the invitation. So let's get into it. So first question I always ask all my guests, how old are you?
I'm 52.
52. Yay. All right. So I have Jen on the show today because she's doing something extraordinary, but I think it's just amazing that she's doing it. And I had to get her on the show to just speak so that she can kind of speak to why she's doing this and how it's going. So Jen, you decided to do something that isn't quite common.
Very
And
uncommon.
so tell us what that is.
I decided that when my twin boys went off to college 2 years ago, that at the age of 50, I would start medical school to become a doctor.
Okay. And so this means a lot to me because my husband's a physician. So I know the whole, listen, this is not easy, even as a younger person. It's not. And so for you deciding to take on this journey, I'm like, I am so excited and this is the thing, I found her on TikTok when I saw her, I was like, I have to get her on. And so, I had to keep asking and asking, and she was really busy, but she finally found some time to speak with me. So I'm so excited.
I had to get through my exams.
Yeah, of course. But that's important. We have to get through the exams, of course, because we're rooting for you. So the question I have for you is, why did you decide to go to medical school?
Well, I wanted to be a doctor ever since I was a little kid. My dad actually has a drawing at my parents' house that I did when I was like 6 or 7 years old, where I drew what I wanted to be when I grew up, and I wanted to be a ballerina doctor. I
love it.
Short legs and weak ankles, so ballerina was out. But just kind of over the years, I had, growing up in the 80s, our educators were not necessarily as aware and as politically correct as they are now. So I had chemistry teachers who told the girls to sit in the back of the classroom because they weren't going to get it anyway.
Ooh.
And I had teachers who just flat told us girls aren't good at math. I remember in undergrad talking about, I think I might like to major in this, and my advisor saying, those science and math programs really aren't for the girls.
Ooh.
I had a botany professor one time who said, gosh, I wish I could give 2 lectures, one for the boys and one for the girls, so that I could dumb it down for the girls so they could get it.
Wow.
So I like to believe that we've grown.
I like to believe that too, even though in some aspects we haven't, but I'm just going to go with
to believe it. I like to believe that we have.
Of course.
So I grew up, even though, I had always thought I was good at these things. You repeatedly have people telling you you're not. You start to believe those voices.
Of course.
And so I majored in something else and graduated and wasn't quite sure what I wanted to do with my life. And as is quite common with women, when we don't know what we want to do with our lives, sometimes we just find the wrong man that we think is going to make all of our decisions for us. It just kind of seems easier that way. So I did, and I got married to the wrong person for all the wrong reasons. Got 2 exemplary kiddos out of it. I got my twin boys, but that marriage, as it was destined to, fell apart when the boys were about 5. I have twin boys, Jack and Mike. And Mike is on the autism spectrum. So I went from being a stay-at-home mom with a college degree that I really couldn't do much with, and 2 little kiddos, all of a sudden, to being on my own and doing it by myself, and going, I remember when we moved out of the house and moved into our little 2-bedroom apartment, my one son looked up at me and he said, "Now what, mommy?" And I just stopped cold, and I was like, I have no idea.
Wow.
So I started working. I worked a couple of jobs and went to night school to get a master's degree. I wanted to study special education because of my little guy with autism. And a lot of it too, I remember telling myself I need to learn how to do a lot of these therapies myself.
Correct.
Back then, insurance is better now. I will say insurance has come a very long way in providing services for kids on the autism spectrum. But when my son was diagnosed, they covered nothing. And, telling a single mom, it's $100 an hour for this therapist and $150 for this one, and your insurance is like, nope.
Wow.
I learned pretty quickly that I'm going to have to learn to do this myself. And I learned through my studies in graduate school that I absolutely loved working with kiddos with autism. It became my passion, and I just absolutely fell in love with it. So I started working at an autism research institute after I graduated.
Okay.
And loved that to pieces. And through that, started communicating with some physicians at the local hospital. We were kind of talking about the genetic aspects and some of the biomedical aspects of children who have different developmental disabilities.
Yeah.
And kind of talking to them, it just kind of like relit that fire in
me. And
I started thinking, I was kind of like, I could do this.
How old were you at this point, though?
I was, well, let me think. How old were my kids? I think they were 8 at that point. So that was 12 years ago. So I was just turning 40 at that point.
40. Okay. And you can kind of feel that fire burning again.
But I was a single mom, and I had, at 8, I can't just say, stay at home and have a peanut butter sandwich. Mom's out of here for 8 hours to go to school. It was like,
I know
there's laws against that. They won't let me do that. So it was just, I had to just put that on the back burner.
Yeah.
And then when the boys were 11, I went to the grocery store one day to go shopping. And I was a vegan at the time. And so I was going and picking out all my tofu and my greens. And there was some guy there that was a marketing rep for a beef company. And he comes over and he's like, I don't see any steak in that cart. And I was like, oh, I'm a vegan.
So interesting.
And he was like, tell me more about that. And then he told me he works for a beef company. And he's like, do you like motorcycles? I'm like, I hate motorcycles. And he's like, do you like tattoos? I'm like, he had long sleeves on. And I was like, no, I can't stand guys with tattoos. It's awful. It's terrible. He had full sleeves, had come in a Harley, worked for a beef company. And that's how I met my husband. So
okay, so he was hitting on you in the grocery store. That's so cool, though.
We picked each other up at the grocery store. So yeah,
love it.
And we got married when the boys were almost 12.
Oh wow!
And have been very happily married ever since.
Oh my goodness!
And
love it. Okay, so quick question though about your diet. So, are you still vegan? Does he eat meat? What's the deal with that?
I eat like seafood and fish.
Yes. So more pescatarian.
And so is he now too. So that was our happy medium.
Oh, so what about motorcycles? Do you like?
I ride on a motorcycle and I have a tattoo now. So
love it.
So it was a meeting of the minds.
Nice.
I came around. So, but yeah, he's amazing, and he was always talking when the boys got older, and we were, he was working from home, and we were homeschooling the boys at that point because we'd moved from the city out to our little farm where we live now, and we started talking about when the boys graduate, what they're going to do. And then my husband said, well, when the boys graduate, what are you going to do? And I said, well, wow, that's a good question. And he said, well, people always ask for kids, but what did you always want to be when you grow up?
I just want to ask this. I just want to say this. And for those listening, I really want you to think on what you just said. A lot of women don't ask themselves that question.
No. We don't. And
we know what for everyone else we're asking, but we don't ask for ourselves.
You see, our role is, we're getting our kids this milestone and that milestone. And it's, get our kids raised, get them off to college, send them loose. And then I've seen so many of my friends and so many colleagues and so many women our age that once they send the children off, the husband and wife stop and look at each other and they say, well, like what my son had said, now what? Now what? And very often, if there is a role, which is kind of a dominant thing in our society, is that one is sort of the caregiver of the children, regardless of which parent that is. The other partner is the wage earner. When the wage earner is retiring and the kids are off, sometimes those two partners look at each other and realize, what do we have in common outside of this?
And it's unfortunate because that's probably why there's a high rate of divorce in that age group.
Exactly.
Great divorce. It's like
they don't know each other. They know everyone. You come downstairs in the morning and I got to get to work. I'm out of here, and one person's running off to the office, and the other one's running off there, and the kids are running off there, and they kind of maybe reconvene in the end of the evening. And so, when the kiddos are gone and the job's not there anymore, you get couples that look at each other and realize we have nothing in common.
Right?
True. And that's terrifying.
It is. It is.
And Norm was insisting. He's like, I don't want you to be one of those people that's just kind of like, I never lived out my dream. And I said, well, I was.
I love that he was advocating for you. Like, okay, figure out what it is that you want. I mean, that is amazing.
He's incredible. He's the most amazing man. not just who he is as a person, but how he makes me feel about myself.
Oh,
Like,
love it.
just from day one, he was like, "You can move mountains. Let's do it." And I said, "I want to be a doctor." And he said, "Well, then be a doctor." And I said, "But I still have to take all of these other classes. I've got like a year and a half, 2 years worth of classes I have to take."
Yeah.
And he's like, "So take them. We've got the time. Take them." And
I
was
love
like,
the
"But I have
support.
to take this huge exam. It's this horrible exam. It's called the MCAT. It's awful."
Exactly.
And it was horrible. And he's like, "So take it."
Do it.
Every time I would come up with an obstacle, he would just like knock it down and go, "You can do it. Just try it." He's like, "You're never going to know
My
until you
word.
try." And when I got accepted, he said, "I cannot run this." I'm trying to remember how he said it. He said, "I can't run this marathon for you." He said, "But I want to make sure I'm there handing you water bottles along the way."
Oh my word. Like that. Oh my goodness. That just brings so much joy to my heart. Just
Because I've
hearing
run
that.
marathons before, and that was always, he would come and meet me and hand me water bottles. And he said, "This is your next marathon, and I will do everything I can to give you the water bottles you need on the way."
Yeah.
And that's done in so many ways. Just, I mean, everything from, I'm sitting here going, "I have an exam. I don't have time to go to the grocery store." Babe, I'll go to the grocery store. It's okay. Or, "I've got all this stuff that, no, don't worry about it. I will take care of it." Or, a health crisis in the family. Let me handle it. Let me take care of it. You need to run the race. Let me just give you the water bottles. Or sometimes even just coming home at the end of the day. You said your husband's a physician.
Yeah.
So the drill.
Yeah.
Coming home at the end of the day, just beat all the heck. And sometimes it's like, you know what? He will just wrap me in a blanket, just cocoon me and go, "Just lie down." Just lie down.
I love, oh my goodness. Oh, love it. Love it. Love it. I love the support that you have. I think that's so essential when you're on a journey like this. It's
man,
just
so essential. There's no way you could do something like this without it.
It is hard. I mean,
it is.
I'm sure there are a few people doing it, but I'm telling you, it's hard. It is.
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah.
Oh my word. Oh. And so tell me, so for you, like, where are you in the journey right now?
Right now, I am halfway through my second year. So I am 3/8 of a doctor now.
Yeah.
I will take my board exams at the end of this next semester. So I'm on Christmas break right now, which is why I'm so relaxed.
I know.
I was like, I'm going to study for boards over break. No, I've been watching Netflix. My husband and I are watching Wednesday right now.
My son loves that. Yeah.
So listen, online Scrabble, like, no.
Yeah. Of course.
Right,
well, you know what? This is your time to decompress. You've been working hard. Your brain has been yeah. So do you know what specialty yet? Have you figured that out or no?
I go back and forth. I feel like every time I take a different block in school, like I took the cardiology block and I'm like, oh, I want to be a cardiologist, and then I took this and I'm like, oh, pediatrics. And then I was like, we just finished our behavioral med one. I'm like, maybe I'll be a psychiatrist. But I'm just like, I don't know. The one thing I do know is that I want to do rural and underserved care.
Okay.
Because I'm from a rural and underserved community, and I've seen firsthand the huge need we have.
Yeah.
And that's absolutely, regardless of specialty, that is one thing that I know
you want to do,
that I want to do, that I want to help try to be part of that solution, because I've seen what it's like in our community, and we have literally seen people die for lack of healthcare. And I want to be able to do what I can.
Yeah, it's sad though, just all of that, because even now in Atlanta, they've closed down a couple of hospitals. And I know for those communities, I'm like, okay, what's going to happen to them? So I see it all around me. So I'm like, yeah, it's nice to know that there are people out there like you who are like, okay, this is what I'm going to do. These are the communities I want to serve. So
well, it's funny because I talk to a lot of people and they're all, they're all like, oh, I want to work in a big fancy hospital, and I want to be at like the Mayo Clinic, and I want to be at Peterson. And I'm like I try to explain to me, I'm like, and people are like, well, don't you want to do something like, bigger and fancy? And I'm like, not everyone wants to be Meredith Grey. No. Some of us just want to be Dr. Quinn, medicine woman. Like, I want a small town. Like,
that's it. That's it.
These are my
and we all people. And it's great that we all want different things, because we all can't be one thing.
Exactly.
So that's good.
Exactly. And God bless the Meredith Grays. I don't want those hours.
Exactly.
I do not
True.
want those
Exactly.
hours.
Exactly. So tell me though, what about your kids? What are they saying about all of this?
Oh my gosh, they're so supportive. They're so amazing. One of my sons, my son Mike, who has autism, he lives
Mhm.
with me where I am at school because
Yeah.
I'm not home right now. I'm home right now, but when I'm in school, I'm 5 hours
Yes.
away in an apartment.
Yeah. Mhm.
And he lives with me, and he's going to the little local college up there, and
Oh, nice.
he's just finishing up his associate's degree, and
Mhm.
he's going to be a medical assistant. So he's
Ooh.
starting his first job pretty soon as an
Yay.
MA.
Nice.
And my other son is back at my alma mater. He just finished his sophomore year, and he's also in the Naval ROTC program at that university.
Nice.
And so he will graduate, with a bachelor's degree and as a naval officer.
Oh,
So,
cool.
and I have to brag on them. They're both honor students.
Well, considering what mom is doing, it's kind of like, okay.
No, they've been so supportive, like super, super supportive.
Oh
And it's funny,
my.
my one son who's off at college, he's had a couple of friends who are like, I think I saw your mom on TikTok. Is your mom on TikTok? He's like, yeah, that's my mom.
That's right. And I'm sure like secretly they're probably like, yeah, that's my mom. Like, yeah, that's my mom.
Oh, my kids have always been so great about that. They've never done the whole like, oh, yeah, that's my mom, get away. Like they've always been so great about, hey guys, it's my mom, come meet my mom, and like
I love that. It's funny.
So.
Mine wasn't quite like that in the beginning. And when I first said I want to go on TikTok, my boys were like, okay, mom, I don't think so. And I listened to them the first time they said that. And then the second time I'm like, I'm going. They're like, mom, Papa said you shouldn't be on. I'm like, you know what? I'm doing it anyway. And now they're like, happy I'm on it. But it took like kind of a little bit of a wait, gave them a little time to adjust to it. Now they're like, yeah, that's my mom on TikTok. In the beginning, it wasn't quite like that.
Yeah. The only rule was no dancing. I'm no dancing.
I'm dancing on this. So maybe that's why it took them a while. But guess what though? Now my youngest son will dance with me on TikTok. My oldest son has done it a few times, but reluctantly. He only did it because he lost a bet. So he did it.
That's awesome.
So he did it with me.
Also doing it, they're like, we'll be in the car and a song comes on, and I'm like, oh yeah. They're like, what are you doing? Stop.
I know that's it's like that's their vocabulary. Like, what are you doing? Can't you tell I'm dancing?
Don't ever do that again. Like, just don't.
It's so funny.
But if you're not embarrassing your kids, are you really a mom? No. You have to embarrass your kids on the regular.
Because if not, that means you're doing nothing. Like,
it's
seriously,
our job.
It's our job to embarrass them from time to time. I love it. So that's so cool. But, this journey of yours it's so exciting. So tell me, what's the hardest part so far for you in this journey going back to medical school for you?
The hardest part, honestly, gosh, and has nothing to do with my age. It's just being away from my home.
Yeah.
I love my home. Like my house it's an old farmhouse. It was built in 1935. My husband and I are a couple of recovering hippies, so we've painted poems and flowers on the walls, and there's always music playing. There's always food. Our house is always filled with music. There's always food being cooked. There's always
love it.
We have 6 cats that are just running all over the place, and a big goofy dog. And that's been the hardest part for me sometimes, is coming home at the end of the day to a little apartment, and I'm just, I want to be home. But I'm very lucky. We just, we had to put in for our rotation sites for next year.
Mm-hmm. Yes.
And I put in for the rotation site closest to my home, and I got it. So I get to live at home next year for my rotation.
That's so lovely.
So happy. So happy.
I'm so excited for you. I mean, your story is just so inspirational, because I speak with women, and I'm telling you, there are lots of women out there that feel like they're lost. They don't know who they are anymore.
Yeah. As women, I think we tend to lose our identity a lot, because I think a lot of us, especially within our age group, all of us Gen Xers, we were sort of raised in that, you can have it all, baby. Bring home the bacon, fry it up in a pan.
Right, do everything.
Like, you have to be the full-time mom, but you also have to be the full-time worker. And we sort of dove into those roles. And in the process of trying to be all things to all people, we lost sight of who we are to ourselves.
Correct.
And like I'd said, like sometimes when that's gone, when the kids are raised, when the job is over, all of a sudden we sit there in our 50s and 60s and we don't know who we are. We've totally lost our sense of self. And that was one of my biggest fears. I didn't want to lose kind of who I am, because I lost that with my first marriage. I remember when that marriage ended, I remember, I mean, I always just say, like, you could have asked me what my favorite color was and I couldn't have told you. I would have said, well, what do you think?
I
it should
believe
be?
that.
You know, and it was like, I had no idea who I was. And it took a very, very long time to find that person again. And once I did, I didn't want to lose her.
Yeah. I mean, I love what you just said about the color. It's interesting, you know, some women even listening now may not know that. And for those of you listening, I really want you to ask yourself those questions and find a way to answer them. Like, the answer's within you. It's just been hidden for so long that you probably don't know how to go back there, but you can. You know,
you absolutely can. You can. And to any women who have been through destructive relationships, there is healing. There are wonderful men and women out there. There are fabulous partners for you if you've been in a partnership that was abusive or destructive. Not all men are like that. Not all women are like that. There are good people out there. Never lose sight of who you are. Just be your best self and it will attract. I mean, I remember hearing that quote so long ago, because, you know, I met my ex-husband when my self-esteem was just absolutely in the garbage, and hearing that quote, that you attract the love you believe you deserve. And I didn't think I deserved better. And by the time I met my current husband, I knew what I deserved, and I knew what my heart and my soul and my body were worth. And I was not going to give that to another person. And I still haven't given it. I share it. That's the most wonderful thing, is that I didn't lose anything by being with him. I just felt it's been nothing but gain. Yeah,
exactly. And I thank you so much for it. You know, I think that's just a great way to explain who we are as humans, because there are great people out there, regardless of, you know, maybe you've been through some relationship that didn't quite work out or left you feeling like less of yourself. There are great people out there, and don't give up.
And it doesn't even have to be a romantic relationship. Just find your people.
Yes.
I mean, just one of the things that I've learned, I mean, I'm very blessed to have a loving and supportive family, both, you know, my core family and my extended family. But there are a lot of people out there who have very destructive, very toxic blood families, and your family does not have to be your blood. I've made such incredible relationships through medical school, through my work, I have friends that are absolutely every bit as much family as my blood. It's, you know, you find your people, and sometimes that just means, and in some cases that means saying goodbye to other people. And it's okay to let friends go. It's okay to let family go. If those relationships no longer serve you and they no longer make you a better person. Exactly. It's not only good to let them go, it's necessary, it's healthy, it's safe to let them go, because
it's safe. For sure.
It's safe to let them go. You know, a legally binding document does not mean you should stay with this person forever. You know, shared DNA does not mean you have to allow people into your life. If it's an unsafe or toxic relationship, it's better for everyone to just let those people go. And that's a tough one for a lot of us. That's a hard one. Because we're always told family is everything. Family is, and for a lot of people, family isn't. For a lot of people,
it's not always. See, that's the thing. It's not all. You have to decide for yourself if it really is. It might not be for you, and you get to make that decision. And don't let other people make that decision for you. You get to make it for yourself, and you know within, is this relationship serving me or not?
I had a very dear friend who, when I went through my divorce, I was absolutely shattered. And I remember saying to her, I was like, I'm almost 40. I have 2 kids. One of my kids has autism. Nobody's ever going to want me. No one's ever going to love me. And I'm going to be alone forever. And she said, she gave me all kinds of wonderful, like, manifesting mantras to say every day. And she said, Jen, I just want you to say this to yourself every day as you're walking down the street. Just say this over and over in your head. I look for love and I find it everywhere. And I'm going to start crying. Sorry. I would go walking down the street and I would see, like, a little kid would stumble and a stranger would go, and go to catch the little kid. And I went, there it is. There's love. Or I would see someone sitting across from their friend and they would reach over and, like, go, hey, you got some mustard, and they'd brush it off their face. And I'd be like, oh, there's love. That's love. I'd see someone getting chilly and their partner would wrap their sweatshirt around their shoulders. And it was just like, once I had that mantra in my mind, I began seeing that this world is filled with so much love, but we don't see it. We walk past it every day, kind of caught up in our own pain and our own angst and our own sadness, and we start to see our sadness as extending to the world, and the world is sad, and it's not. There's love everywhere. We just have to see it. We just look for it. It's everywhere.
I just love that, because that's what I wrote in my I have a journal that I write in, and I talk about what I'm going to do for the day and which emotion, and love was my emotion for today. I think love is just an amazing emotion. I'm telling you,
it
really is. Like, seriously, like when you come from a place of love, oh my goodness, it's done. It's like, what's the worst that can happen when you come from? One of the things I love to tell people is like, listen, I want to love you, and there's nothing you can do about it. That's just it. Like, really, like, that's it. Done.
Yeah. I got into an argument with a friend of mine a couple of weeks ago, and I was pretty upset with her. And all of a sudden, so she just kind of stopped talking to me, and then she came up to me a couple of days ago, and she's like, "So are we not friends anymore?" And I said, "Well, I would like to continue to be your friend, but that choice is obviously, it's a two-way street. If you no longer want to be friends, then absolutely." I kind of like say my life's a revolving door. Everyone's welcome to come in, but you're also welcome to leave at any time.
Yes.
I don't chase people. So if you want to be a part of my world, awesome. If not, cool, you can go, but you can always come back. It's a revolving door. But she just, and she was just very hurt. And she said, "Well, I just feel like you don't care about me anymore." And I said, "I love you very much. I do. I don't love the way you are making me feel right now."
Right.
And I said, "So I think I just need some time and a little bit of space."
And love the context.
And she opted to just say, "Well, then I just don't think I want to be your friend anymore." And again, that's fine.
That's fine.
Cool. But it's that boundary. And it was like, it's not that I don't care about you, and it's not that I don't like you, and I'm not going to behind your back. I just, I shared with you that I didn't like your behaviors. You shared with me how you felt about that. And I don't like the way I feel. And that's sort of my biggest gauge, is how do I feel when I'm around this person?
Yeah.
Do I like me? Do I find myself doing or saying things that are not in character? Like, am I true to myself with this person?
Yes.
Not, then it's like, okay, time to move on.
Yeah. And we need to be aware of that regularly, because sometimes we do things where you can actually tell, like, that's not really me. Why did I do that?
Yeah. When you catch yourself doing or saying stuff, and my husband again is like so good at like calling me out and stuff like that sometimes too. I'll just say or do something, and he'll just look at me and he'll be like, "Were you with so and so today?" And I'm like, "Yeah, why?" He's like, that sounded like so and so."
Ooh.
I think about it and I go, "Oh, you know what? You're right. I don't usually do say fill in the blank," and I kind of have to think about that and go, okay, it's just, not just to kind of gauge, okay, what, is this good or bad? Is this
and then you now have to kind of rethink that for yourself.
Yeah.
I love that. Love that. Oh, this was so amazing. So Jen, do you have any parting words for our listeners before we go?
50 is not fatal. 50 is not a finish line.
Oh my word.
That's I'm gonna have that tattooed.
Listen, the doctor just told you that, so you better listen.
I am in the best physical, mental, emotional, spiritual health of my entire life. I'm having an absolute ball. There's so many benefits to going back and pursuing your dreams in your 50s. I have people on social media who are constantly like, "You're too old, you're too old." I go into the study of medicine with a level of maturity and understanding and empathy and it's nothing against my classmates. It doesn't exist because they haven't experienced it yet.
Exactly. And you have.
They're incredible, remarkable, brilliant, caring, loving people. I adore my classmates, but there is just a certain something that my husband always says, some things are better felt than telt. And until you've lived through it, you don't get it. We had a simulated patient drill, and some of my classmates were questioning the actress playing the wife, and they were kind of like, "Well, tell us about your husband. When did he have a stroke?" and all this stuff. And I walked over and I said, "Let's move her chair so she can hold her husband's hand." And I looked at her and said, "Can I get you a cup of tea?" And they kind of were like, "Oh," and she said, "How did you?" And I'm like, "My mom recently had a stroke." And it's like just certain things that you don't
see, they can't get that
because I haven't been there. And so I think there's so much of that, been there, done that can help you, whether you decide to go back to become a doctor or a teacher or a speech therapist or a
Yes.
painter or an actress or fill in the blank. Whatever you
Yeah.
want to do, your age is not a detriment. It is
Nope.
such an asset. So
Yes.
utilize that asset.
Yes. It's an asset, people. You heard it. It's an asset. Yes. Thank you so much, Jen. This was,
Thank you.
I could speak with you for hours
I
because
know,
this was
so
just
fun.
so interesting. But I just want to say thank you once again for coming on the show. I really appreciate it. And I know everyone listening, they're going to get so much from it. So please share this away because more women need to hear this message. Thank you so much. And I look forward to seeing you, all of you, next week. Take care. Bye. Thank you so much for watching an episode of 50 Shades of Over 50. I invite you to join our online community called Flourish, a community created exclusively for women in their 50s, 60s, 70s, and beyond. A place where you'll get to pursue your passion and live your purpose with other like-minded women. If you're not sure what your purpose or passion is, not to worry. I share tools to help you with that. Flourish is the best place to learn, grow, and have fun if you're in your 50s and beyond. Go to www.kwavi.tv/flourish to learn more.